already lost Sears a few years ago, and we do not want a dilapidated visual for people that come into our city. So Ethan, Conrad's Properties, has purchased 25 acres on the south side. So it would be Sears on, and you'll explain all of that to us. But so he has an option and something that he is proposing based on that, and I'll turn it over to you, and thank you so much.
All right, thank you everybody, and thank you for coming tonight. And thank you, Ruth, for hosting us. We're really appreciate it. So what we're trying to do is I'll try and go through the PowerPoint, and then feel free to just start tossing out questions, and we'll answer them as best we can. So as Ruth mentioned, how many here have not seen the big yellow Ethan Conrad signs around town? They're usually in front of a vacant office building or a vacant retail store. And what he does is that he buys these buildings that are for the most part empty. The tenants have left for whatever reason, and he puts new tenants in, and he revives those business buildings, whether they're office or retail. And the advantage is that you don't have an empty building that starts drawing graffiti and dumping and homeless, and you know, it's kind of the broken window syndrome. You get one broken window and then things just kind of deteriorate around. So he prevents that by buying and reusing these buildings and reactivating them. So that's basically what he's done for quite a while. And he's also moved on to some commercial malls in Yuba City and Chico and Merced that were all but dead. These were malls that the tenants had left, nobody was shopping there anymore, and he was able to acquire them and bring in new stores and revitalize those malls, and to the point that if you could see that the revenue is up substantially generated by that mall, the employment is up. Obviously, those reactivated malls don't trigger problems with homeless and spillover blight, so to speak. So they've been very successful, and to the point where both Chico and Yuba City, the city councils sent him letters of commendation. They were so pleased that he was able to turn those malls around that they sent letters of commendation. So that's what we're mentioning here. Can we go to the dead mall slide? So I think this is not Sunrise Mall, but it could be, because as you mentioned, Sears is gone, Macy's is gone, really not much is going on there. I've driven by recently, and it's just a sea of empty parking spaces. And now you're starting to see some dumping happening there. You're starting to see people kind of hanging out, not what you want to have happen at a commercial property. So the idea is to make sure that Sunrise Mall does not become a dead mall. And to be honest, if it's on life support, that's good, because it's really, really, really struggling. There's really not much going on. So the idea, as I mentioned, is two things. One, he has a concept of what kind of retail he would bring back. And so the idea is to bring back retail that made Sunrise Mall successful in the first place. So, and it does compete with a plan that the city adopted that is significantly different than the old Sunrise Mall and what Mr. Conrad is recommending that the city allow him to do. I'm not going to talk about the Sunrise Tomorrow plan. I have my opinions about it, and I think the thing that's telling about that plan since it was adopted is that no developer since it was adopted has expressed any interest in doing any portion of it. And it's just, that is not a good thing for long-range planning. And so what he wants to do is revitalize it with retail, bring it back to an active economic engine for Citrus Heights, and he feels the time now is to make it happen. So what we've done is that Citrus Heights has a unique thing. And typically, if a specific plan like Sunrise Tomorrow was adopted, a developer would prepare a completely different plan and submit it. You know, just everything would be different. It would be like a throw away the first plan and please accept my plan. And the city has this unique opportunity where, with a specific plan, you can ask to redact out uses you don't think make sense, and literally write in uses you do think make sense, okay? And so what he has done is we have submitted that kind of an amendment of the plan, and he has redacted out certain things, but mostly he's put in the ability to add in retail, large box retail, restaurants that might have drive-thru, which are not allowed in the Sunrise adopted tomorrow plan. So really the idea is to bring back logical retail uses to the mall, like had been there before, but are more today's retailers, not 30 years ago retailers, and to allow the city to approve those kind of uses if they think it makes sense. And he thinks it makes sense, and so we're asking the city to consider making this change to the plan, to allow in some uses and maybe move out some that haven't made sense. So the key thing about any kind of a shopping mall or centers, you need an anchor, and once you get an anchor, a big business, lots of people want to come to, then other businesses want to be around it. And so in this particular case, his anchor is Home Depot, and they have committed to build a store here. A lot of people have said, why would they come with Lowe's across the street? That's the way some large retailers are. Walmart wants to be near Target. Lowe's isn't afraid of being near Home Depot and vice versa. And they have written a letter that says, we want to be here, we want to be in Citrus Heights, we want to be in Sunrise Mall, and we will build it if it's approved. So so people know that this is not just a dream, it's actually something that's Home Depot wants to do. One of the things that Bolero is a high-end bowling store, a bowling center, and they said that if Home Depot comes, they want to be right next door. If Home Depot doesn't come, then Bolero won't come. So, excuse me? Okay. Oh, yeah, I have a point. Home Depot here, Bolero here, and then there are other users that have indicated they want to come as well if the city is interested in having them. And you can see these right here. There's In and Out, there's the clothing cleaner, there's a Montessori school, and so this portion here in sort of the whited out area is actually the part of the mall that Ethan Conrad has actually purchased. So he actually owns it and can make these things happen if the city wants him to. This portion here is the portion he basically has an option to buy. So that basically says that in some point of time, he has the ability to buy or walk away. And what would happen is that the city allows him to move forward with some portion of phase 1, then he will acquire the rest of the property, and what you will have for the first time in years is Sunrise Mall not owned by somebody in Manhattan or Chicago. You're going to have a local landowner who owns the mall, drives by it, sees it, makes sure that there's no graffiti, there's no homeless camping out, because Chicago and New York doesn't know, doesn't care. So these are some of the users, the retailers that would like to come. Everything from IKEA to Nordstrom Rack to, as I mentioned, Bolero. Different kinds of food, but also significant today retailers. And one of the things that we are doing is that we feel that the anchor of Home Depot and some of the other restaurants and users that want to come with it will be good tenants, and they will add value and create excitement for other retailers to want to fill in the balance of Sunrise Mall. We can just keep going. Okay, so the idea is that one of the things the city said to us is go out to the community, go out to all 11 neighborhood associations and see what people think. and I'll explain the process, explain what he wants to do. Let them compare and contrast the tomorrow plan with what he's proposing and get input and get questions asked and hopefully provide answers. And then, we and, council members and neighbors and neighborhood leadership will tell the city, here's what we heard when we heard about this project. We had an opportunity to ask questions. So that's the idea, is to bring it back with retail, hand in hand with the city, and obviously with the neighborhoods, and we'll see what happens. I think it's scheduled for April 23rd,
I don't know.
potentially, for the city to say something. They're not going to approve the project, they're not going to approve the plan, but they will, excuse me, basically say, good idea, keep going, or we like this portion, come do that. They could say, go away. We'll wait longer to see if somebody actually shows up and is interested in the Sunrise Tomorrow plan. So, thank you, and ready for questions. In the back, and you're on deck.
Yes, you mentioned an in and out.
Could you speak up a little bit?
You mentioned in and out,
Yes.
and normally in and out are at the freeway entrances if you're going,
Often. Yep.
and this is not, although it's a big corridor in Sunrise.
Mhm.
Are there other restaurants that are interested that you're
Yes.
aware of? Which ones?
Did we bring up the list? I know Chick-fil-A is one, Pete's Coffee, Phil's Coffee, Pollo Campero,
BJ's.
Sonic, Dunkin', I mentioned Chick-fil-A, BJ's, and I think those are the ones that have expressed interest and I believe have letters of intent, which is almost a lease. It's a commitment on their part that if it moves forward, we will move forward with the project. So far, those are the ones that have expressed interest. Yeah, wait, no, I said she's next. You're on deck.
Any other family-oriented businesses besides the bowling alley?
None that have shown up yet, but we anticipate if things move forward, then we'll see more sit-down restaurants express interest and more, recreation, leisure kinds of uses. But right now, it's the heavy retailers that are really expressing interest right now. Yes, sir.
She mentioned the In-N-Out Burger.
Uh-huh.
The one on Madison and the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
It's always blocking up traffic. Is that not going to happen over here on Sunrise Mall?
One, it doesn't do Mr. Conrad any good to have that happen, and two, the city's not going to allow it to happen. So they'll work the stacking through the parking lot or something like that. Yeah.
I have another question. The portion that you show existing building layout, new site.
The U.S. Bank is there.
No.
Not there.
Up there.
No,
Those
in
are
the
owned
center,
by,
in the very
Oh,
center.
he's talking Macy's and Penny's.
That existing building, how's this thing?
it's a little button.
That right there,
Oh, the mall.
yes.
Yes.
Is that eventually going to be torn down, or you're just going to find someone to move into that building?
I don't know.
That's come up twice. Once, a couple meetings ago, one of the retailers inside said, what's going to happen? And he said, if you want to stay, and enough of your fellow retailers want to stay, I want to keep you there. And then last night, he basically said, I see no reason to tear down a very good building to put up another one. So my sense is, if he can make it economically viable, he will keep the mall building. It may look different, it may walk different, but the idea would be, why tear down a pretty good building when you don't need to? And yes, council member.
He
and
was
then
not
Gigi.
next. I was
Go
next.
ahead.
You was not next.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay.
Behavior.
I'm like, girl, I'm trying. So right there, that strip on the bottom, that is running straight along Sunrise Boulevard, and the part that's blacked out, Ethan submitted that.
Yeah,
So all those little pads, I have read it and printed it out, and they say fast food, basically. So is that his intent for that whole strip right there, is, pad after pad of fast food kind of things?
it's his intent if all those restaurants really want to go there and the city allows it, yes. But as this evolves, you know, if he gets the nod and a wink from the city to move forward with something, then all this is kind of negotiable. The city is the decision-making body. You know, it's the council's decision. We can't make things happen without the council. They can't make things happen without a developer. So it takes the two to work out a solution as to how the land use works out.
And you're willing to negotiate, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Council member.
Okay, 2 questions. Are you guys a developer? Are you a developer?
I have.
You are a developer?
Not now, I'm more community
Okay,
outreach
you've been
person, but I've been a developer.
Didn't you do Delta Shores?
And the first half of my
Yes.
career
That's what I thought.
was working for very large
No,
development
but is
projects.
Ethan Conrad a developer?
Is he a developer?
Is he a developer?
Yeah, I
Does he
think so.
bulldoze buildings and rebuild stuff? Does he do that stuff? Does he do things like
He doesn't necessarily build them down. He likes to get, acquire buildings that need to be renovated and upgraded, you know, give it a nice, good, fresh look. So that's what he more or less invests in.
I
is
would say he's a
improving-
redeveloper.
that? Okay.
He likes
So-
to improve a building.
Good question.
So I've got a couple of more questions. So you talked about Chico, you talked about Merced, you talked about
You would say,
Yuba City. How do the size of those malls compare to Sunrise Mall?
I believe they're smaller.
How much
Not
smaller?
much.
Well, I
Half.
haven't been at
I know the answer
Merced,
to the question.
Maybe
but
half.
I think.
Yeah, this is a
Similar.
regional
Chico's
mall.
about 45 acres, this is 90, this is about
Yeah, about
100 or
half.
so.
Yeah, so this would be in,
Chico's 45, the mall in Merced's 26, the one in Yuba City's about 26.
yeah,
So
so
they're
in,
much smaller
Yep.
considered.
yes, in the lexicon of developers, this is a regional mall, and those would be sub-regional malls, depending upon what's there. They can be power centers, you know, they have all these different languages based upon what's there and their size.
So how would you know, another question that you said early on, that no developers have expressed an interest in this?
The
How would
city's
you
told us that.
know that no developers expressed an interest in
The
this?
city has told us they have not
The
received.
city has not told you that.
Okay,
No, the city has not
I
told
have
you
not
that no
personally asked
developers
the city.
Been interested.
I know that developers have come and looked, but I don't know that any have said, I want to do this. I want to do the Sunrise Tomorrow plan. That's all I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, sir?
So with transparency, have we had other developers come in and make an offer? Tim?
I can't really talk to that at this meeting right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
I've heard secondhand that economic development, the city's economic development has said, no, we really haven't had a developer say, I want to come and do it. But that's secondhand. I saw a question back here. Oh, okay, I'll hand it in the air. Yes, sir.
What is, where the Home Depot is planned to be, what is there right now?
What is there right now?
Yeah.
Parking lot.
Just a parking lot?
Mhm. My grandson goes there to
Oh, yeah,
practice
basically
driving.
it's a big empty parking.
Yeah.
Okay, and.
And I guess a lot of seniors use it as a walking.
In the mall.
Why?
Inside the mall.
In the mall.
Why hasn't Home Depot, why can't you just, why wasn't it built like years ago when the mall has been dying for like 20 years?
My personal opinion is not good ownership. When you've got an out-of-state East Coast owner that doesn't see the property, may have never even visited it, doesn't know what's going on with the retailers. Retailer has a problem, they call Chicago or Manhattan, nobody to pick up the phone. So retailers will leave, and the more retailers leave, it's like rats leaving the ship. Everybody starts leaving, and that's what's happened.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, okay.
Okay, Gigi.
So I know at yesterday's meeting, Ethan said that market research does not support us having nice things, because you know, I wrote and I said, we want nice things too. And he said, well, I like nice things, but market research does not support that. So I need to know, how does market research support these EV chargers, because we don't have Teslas up in here. And we don't have these, electric cars, but you're going to put it there. And I know you said something about Judy's Cleaners last night. That's not something that, we're really going to be running to. They're very expensive. I use Chase. So when we're talking about these different things, how are they bringing that quality of life that we've been asking for? Just because we're not going to do the exact same thing. We're not going to tear them all down, okay? But why not give us some of, like I told Ethan last night, some of what we are asking for? What you're putting there doesn't necessarily represent market anything, okay? Because half of us in here, we're not going to run over to Home Depot and go, oh my God, it's here. We're not going to go to the Montessori school. I think it's the Slavic owned, and they got a waiting list, and it's all Slavic children and only Slavic children, okay? And with the Home Depot and all the drama that the Home Depot is having to read, and I'm concerned, and I know that little blue spot is the housing y'all were talking about, because we have to meet our numbers for housing, but he doesn't own that yet, and then you're going to put it right next to Home Depot. I want to know how many of y'all want to live next to Home Depot. So maybe we need to think about all of us going to this meeting, especially in April, and having our little signs sitting there and saying what we want, because we do need to negotiate this. So I want to know about the market research. How does that support Citrus Heights to have these chargers and all these things that you're telling us you want to bring?
Okay, well, first of all, chargers aren't just for the people who live in the area. They're for people who are passing through. I use them.
We don't want pass
I use them all.
We want
well, but it's a convenience, and I can tell you when you
great
run
for
low
you.
on battery,
Well, yay
you're going
for
to be
you.
looking for the nearest
He's got
charger,
one
because I
across
did
from
that
Stone's,
yesterday.
But he's got one across from Stone's. He's putting them on all his property. So I understand he's got a signed contract, a deal already with Home Depot from last night. We talked.
Yes.
So he's got these deals, these things already signed with all these people already. So that's his motivation, the money. It's not the community. So I'm just saying, you can't keep pushing us, and like I said last night, this is a shotgun wedding. Give us something we want. If you force me to have a shotgun wedding, I want babies. So what are you going to give us, in return? And you got to take that back to him, because we talked about this.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. You have to go, and you're the voice for him here, and you need to be our voice there. We're telling you, how can we make this work?
Okay, so let me take your first question. So
Yes.
how do retailers end up there? Retailers have acquisition, they call them real estate acquisition staff, and they travel around and they look for locations they think that their company might want to locate. So they find out if the property is available, then they start doing research. Is there an economic activity around that area? Is the zoning allow it? Does it make sense? Is there good access? Is it a good land use for them? And are they not going to lose money there? Then they write a letter of intent, and hopefully the landlord says, yeah, I think that this makes sense. I'd like to have you here. But the second part of your question is, oftentimes landlords and developers will get ideas from the community, and they will go out and say, hey, Bolero or whatever, Nordstrom or whatever, are you interested in my property? And they'll either do an initial take and say yes or no. If that's a yes, then they'll do the research.
Tim, did you ask for that charging station?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have an electric car. I'm on my second electric car, though.
Okay, I'm saying. No, they didn't get those ideas from us. Ethan brought.
Absolutely, and the website has a place for you to suggest
No,
all
y'all
kinds
go
of
to the
things.
city's website. Do not do that. The city has a site for you to give your comments,
You
suggestions.
can put them on the city's website, you can put them on our site.
Please put them on the
both. We don't
city's
care.
website.
Everybody likes good ideas,
Yes.
including Ethan Conrad.
So I have one more question.
Yeah.
Ethan bought the Florin Sears property. What's happening with that?
He is in the
That's
process of working with, it's in the county, and he's working with the county of Sacramento on redeveloping that into
And how long
other
has he owned the
uses.
property? How long has he owned the property down there?
Oh, I have no idea.
Maybe a year? Maybe
What's
a
that?
year. Maybe a year.
Maybe a year.
Been longer than a year.
Not too much longer. It's when all
Yeah, I-
the, bought all the.
Unfortunately, I don't know
that down there.
Yeah, but he is pushing ideas and approvals through the county of Sacramento for several uses there. And one of them's a restaurant that I know of.
One of those says industrial. What's industrial on that?
We have other questions.
The industrial is because apparently in the city zoning code, mini storage is considered light industrial. And that would, and so he's proposing that would be, mini storage would be in the basement of the Sears building.
I have
Yes, ma'am. You're next.
If I'm understanding correctly, all the new buildings would be in what is currently parking lot. So I have two,
Here. There's a button right there.
I don't know. If I'm understanding right, all of this is the new, where all these new stores are going to go, which is currently parking lot.
Yeah, some of
yes?
those are owned, there's a few parcels that are owned by others like US Bank.
Okay.
And I think there's one or two towards the upper left-hand corner.
And then you have the Sears building and the automotive center.
Oh, on this side over here.
Yeah.
Okay, so two questions with that. One, we're adding in a lot of new buildings without taking into account for parking. And you had something on there about green spaces, and I don't see anything on there about green spaces.
The green space is really not thought out, but there is a place right here that he sort of put a place marker for community space. So we don't know yet what that might be. You know, that's the city and the neighborhood determining what really ought to go there. But he's determined that that's a good spot for that. It might be bigger, I suspect, in the end. Yeah.
And then my other question was about parking. When you're building on all the spaces that are currently parking and leaving the mall, you're cutting significantly into what is available. I know there's a lot of parking there
There's
now.
a lot of parking there.
But my concern would be you're putting in all these buildings and you're cutting into all that, so
Mhm.
you are gonna run out of.
And the
I mean, I'm sure you're
tenants
gonna
in
be
their,
hoping that.
the tenants in their market analysis are gonna, in addition to, is it making sense economically, is there the demographics around it, is there adequate parking? Now, I can tell you, one thing that's interesting, I do a lot of work in the city of Sacramento, and it's very traditional that the city establishes a minimum amount of parking. For any kind of use, you have to have a certain amount of parking. Then they went to, they're gonna maximum parking. So you have minimum and maximum parking, but the city of Sacramento is actually approving projects with no parking, including a 2,100 seat music hall in downtown Sacramento, no parking. So, but my point is that from planner world, you know, and I'm a planner by training, planner world,
They don't care.
cars are going away. We're gonna have big parking lots and parking garages that we're gonna be trying to figure out what in the heck we're gonna do when we don't own cars and we don't have a car. And if you look at the demographic of people under 25, the level of automobile ownership is amazingly low because they Uber, they Lyft, they, you know, bike, they take transit, and, you know, as the generation moves up, they're not car people like we've been. So we'll see what happens.
Plans for bike.
You're gonna summon a car, it's gonna take you to work, and then go take somebody else to work. My opinion, that's where it's gonna go. I have a car, I can summon. I can walk around the corner with my phone, make it come get me. Yeah, next question, and you're next, sir.
Back to the Home Depot. We have a Home Depot here, and it's right on the city limits, right over on Antelope. Where I live, it doesn't matter which one I'd go to, they're both about the same distance. And what I'm wondering is if they've done a study, it means they're gonna pull business away from Home Depot there and put it over here. I mean, does that economically make sense? I mean,
It does
I don't
to them.
understand that.
It does to them. I can't explain it.
They account for that.
I don't
Well,
know
I get
their
it, but, you know,
economics. But apparently, they're not going to build a store there if it's gonna kill their store elsewhere in
I
the
don't
city.
think so, but
No,
They do.
I mean, they won't.
They do
people like
market
me or
study.
somebody
Yeah.
else is not gonna go to this and they'll
I
probably
just
go
can't
to the
explain
other.
the economics to you.
There's a
Can I respond
market
to that
study
real
that's
quick?
usually
Sure.
done.
My kids live in Twin Falls, Idaho, 55,000 people. Home Depot, 2 blocks over is Lowe's. They're both very busy.
Yeah.
Why do you think they want that spot? They don't care about Citrus Heights. Maybe the west side or east side of Citrus Heights. They want Orangevale.
Yeah.
They want Fair Oaks.
Well, that's true.
Otherwise, For me to drive over to the one in Antelope, I go up to Roseville, it's closer, because I live on this side of the city. So that is prime time for Orangeville, Fair Oaks, and otherwise, they're driving over to Folsom, they're driving up to Roseville, so.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Madison. And go
You're
to
next,
Madison.
and you're on deck, sir.
Can you add more commentary on the industrial part that you mentioned as far as storage, mini storage, stuff like that?
Just in the basement of the Sears building. That's the only place he's proposing.
Not the cleaners.
Basement of the Sears building. So the Sears-
Yeah.
So it has a basement, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the Home Depot is part of phase 1, right?
Yes.
All right. After, say, build Home Depot, lots of people coming in, they're getting their 2x4s and whatnot. What then happens to the mall? How's that bringing people into the mall? I'm not understanding that. I think a lot of people probably are not understanding that. Because
Yeah.
I've got my 2x4s and everything, wonderful. I'm now gonna go to Sprouts and other places, and maybe to the farmer's market because it's outside. But I'm convinced that the mall is dead. So why would I go into the mall now?
Well, the way shopping centers evolve is you have the anchor, and then the next larger business tend to be around, and then more smaller business tend to be around.
Okay.
So the mall filling up might be the last portion, because you've got new businesses that want to come in, and when there's enough economic activity going on at the mall, then small retailers will want to go back and fill in the space inside the walkable mall.
But Penny's is staying, right? It's my understanding that Penny's is staying there.
That was mine too.
Jason,
That's what I've heard. I don't know anything about them leaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have one more question.
Yes?
So
You can have all the questions you want.
So you're saying this side, if we just say yes and just let you have what you want. We didn't have any say in the development. We'd have that little bitty green spot right there, and that's our green area. And then you're gonna move right over to this huge space. How do we know we're gonna have a say? You didn't give us a say in the first set. So when you get ready to develop the second portion of this mall area, that's a very large portion. What's to say you're gonna listen to us then? You're not listening to us now.
Remember what I said at the beginning? That it's the city council is going to decide how the mall redevelopment looks.
Well,
How it's going to flow
You better
and what
listen.
goes there. It's like a regular planning process. You propose something, you work with the community, you get support, you go to the decision makers, and they may not like it.
Yeah.
And so you work things until, hopefully, if things go well, you end up with a product and a project that the city likes the project, and things move forward.
This may be for
Can I
you, Tim, it
dovetail
may
onto
be,
that?
but hold on.
Excuse me?
Can I dovetail onto that really quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Anything that gets built here still has to go through all the planning commission, all the normal process.
Gonna go
All
through
the
design
normal development
review.
process. Anything that decides that has to go on the mall, that goes on this property still goes through planning commission, development, the
Planning
whole
staff,
approval
design
process,
review.
So
everything.
Tim, this is my question for one
And
of you.
environmental review.
For one of you, so if you lift the restrictions on just that section, because you're not asking for the whole mall area, you're not saying, oh, lift all the restrictions off the whole mall, you're just saying that, right?
For now.
No, no. The request right now is to add some uses into the plan
The whole
that covers the
plan.
whole mall.
That's why you would end up with that whole strip of fast food restaurants on
Only if the
Sunrise.
council allows it.
Right, but I mean, if they lift the restrictions, then you can do what you want.
No,
because they don't
hold on
own
a
the
second.
mall.
By making the word changes in the plan,
Mm-hmm.
it allows an applicant to put that use forward for the city to consider. Without that, it's prohibited.
Well, what's the one thing that's prohibited on this right here? Tell me the one thing, because I think it's only one
Fast food
thing.
restaurants with drive-thrus.
Yep, that's it.
Big box businesses.
Well, I mean, we do have quite a few of those, and you got the warehouse, the little place across from, that would be across from Home Depot. what's the name of that contractor?
HD.
Yes, there, and then
Contractor's
you,
Warehouse, also owned by
yeah,
Home Depot.
yeah, so I
Yeah.
mean, we got all these places, you're gonna pull business. I heard tell that some people were like, well, they may move, you know, so if you're pulling business from other places, we're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have other dead spaces in our city because you're taking away the business. So I'm just very concerned about that.
Not really, because H&D Supply is used
By contractors.
Yeah.
Oh, I use it, I'm not a contractor.
Well, then fine.
My
Well, if there's a
my
contractor
husband
that
was a
uses it.
general contractor, and he
My floor
used
came from there.
H&D,
Yeah.
and he used, the other wood place out off of El Camino and that.
Yeah, I want to know, how many other owners are of this property? Ethan doesn't own the whole mall, right?
No.
No.
So how do they feel about your project from one of the other owners of this mall?
Yeah, are they
Okay,
sitting
so-
down together?
Hold on a second. So this is the portion he's acquired. This area in the dashed line, this area is what he has a right to buy. Okay, it's called an option. And then the portions that are out, which is this parcel, and that parcel, those, we don't know if they're interested in selling, we don't know if they're interested in doing anything, or just staying. But I have not heard that they've complained about the renovation, the redevelopment of the shopping mall.
Is he in escrow still for this or at
Yeah.
all? Okay.
Yeah,
And it's contingent on what he told us on the city?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
So even if the city approved all your plans, what you own right now, Ethan owns,
Mhm.
the other portion does not want to sell to Ethan. It could just lay there like that then.
Good job.
No, the city says go here, he's gonna buy the rest of it, except for these little pieces along the
I
green
think what
belt.
he's saying, what if they just tell him no? Because we got Namdar right now, so I
Them
mean,
who?
maybe Namdar?
No,
Namdar
let me tell you the way
says
an option works is, it's all in the hands of the buyer.
Oh, okay, so they told him.
On an
okay.
option,
Okay.
if you're gonna sell me your house, I'm gonna option it, I can decide yes or no. You
So-
don't get to. If I decide yes, you have to sell
So
it.
Namdar has given him that.
Yes, that's my
Okay.
understanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have an idea.
Here.
Instead of your little,
What?
okay, where do I push that?
Yeah.
Isn't this a bowling thing you said right there, that
No,
blue?
that's potential
Bowling
house.
thing.
Is down where?
Bowling.
Right
Right
here.
there,
Okay,
but below that, below the sunroom,
Oh,
okay.
here,
yes.
okay.
So, I like Strikes Bowling Place. It's a family-oriented, it has a lot of opportunity for kids and families to come in. But I also know that pickleball is a big commodity. And so, I would like to see this Macy's, men's Macy's, over at this end, to be the bowling alley, a Strikes, if he buys it, and then pickleball on the second story. And you're gonna get a big family-oriented thing. And the other piece to this is that we were out, I was going to a store out at the Fountains the other day, and it was a nice day, and there were tons of people and families, but mostly adults, sitting around on that, by the fountains and all the, and they were enjoying the whole thing. I would like to see something incorporated to be our center of our city in something of that fashion, so that we have some place for families to come and to have entertainment, as well as a gathering place. Our city doesn't have just an open gathering space. I think there's enough space there in that mall to incorporate something like that.
Okay.
And so,
Good idea.
instead of just the bowling alley by itself, I would like that transferred over to the second part to bring in an activity so families can go out. There's 3 places, 3 floors there in the men's Macy's.
yeah.
Plenty of room to
Tell
go
the city
and,
put it on the website. Put that into the
to
website.
go
The city's
into
website and our
entertainment. I think that we need
Not a
something
bad idea.
family oriented.
Yeah. Except the pickleball thing?
Yeah.
We're gonna need a dock and box right next door because it's one of the highest injury activities for seniors right now. Broken shoulder and
Yes,
broken
I
hips.
know. We've talked to them.
We know that.
I'm not
We know
playing
that.
it. I'm not gonna play it.
You're singing to the choir.
Did you do that?
No.
Question.
Yeah.
I've asked you
I
this
like
before
church
at a
that
couple
you
different meetings, but I'll ask it again publicly because Tim Shaper's here. So this is more of a question maybe for you, but there's a lot of infrastructure that needs improvement, the sewage, electrical, all that undergrounding stuff. Would having a line of drive-through restaurants hurt the city's chances of getting SACOG funds? Because now we're shifting more to more automotive use, and SACOG seems to prefer reducing automotive use. So could the city potentially be shooting themselves in the foot by allowing drive-through
This was
restaurants?
complicated for that. SACOG is coming tomorrow. It's in front of council, and I don't want to put words in their mouth.
Good, yeah, perfect timing.
So,
Yeah.
it is, so, James is coming to present. I sit on SACOG. I'm not saying that, I don't know. It certainly wouldn't,
Wouldn't help.
it wouldn't help. But I don't know. There's all kinds of things that are going on with SACOG. SACOG is, the amount of federal funding is going down. All the COVID money's gone. SACOG's, their budget for the last 3 years has been about 45 million a year. Now it's going down to kind of the normal level at 18 million. So it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to help or hurt or, I don't know how that would play out.
And depending upon what uses go in the balance of the mall, even though drive-throughs are a traffic generator, you might have uses here that lower the traffic
That offset.
for themselves, and the net result is either the same or less
More
traffic.
pedestrian access in the interior parts?
Right.
That offsets the
Right,
increased
depends upon the
vehicle
uses,
traffic.
it depends upon the layout.
So,
Yeah, but
Brian,
just because you have drive-throughs there doesn't mean, traffic has to go crazy.
You have some questions in the back?
No, 1, 2, 3.
I guess I'm confused why they're proposing drive-throughs if cars are gonna be obsolete.
Good point. I guess those restaurant companies think that for whatever time period, those are good uses.
So
can
in that
use us.
time frame, we're gonna need parking spaces.
Yes.
Even if the cars go
We're gonna
away.
get hoverboard.
But- And then, so Ethan Conrad developed Delta Shores.
Did he know?
No, but you were part of it. Brian was part of it.
No? Okay.
Yeah. Nope, he was next. Or you're third.
I was, several of us were involved in the original planning for the mall. And we had tables set up, and there were like, 12 maybe or more groups that were drawing up the plans what they would like to see. And in every single one of those plans, there was a center, family-oriented, walk space, play space, restaurants where they could go into and sit or sit outside. I see none of that here. And I think that's what the city wants. City wants place that they can go and have family-oriented things going on. And that's why I'm kind
Yeah.
of feeding off what
Yeah.
Ruth said. That's enough for now. I don't want to, I'm going to get into it and I won't start.
There's plenty of room there. There's a
aware
lot of
that-
parking lot that should go away.
Right, but
Parking lot?
you made it sound like it was the city's decision and they're gonna build that.
No, they're not gonna build it. They'll tell us what they want to see
The
there.
city needs to make that decision, what they want out of you.
Yeah. That's the way development works.
I work for Napa County Planning and worked on a lot of projects. Every single one of them, when they went to the Planning Commission, the Planning Commission told them no, and you're not getting it unless this is what we want done. And so I think that's what people need to hear, is that the planning commission, and once they approve it, the city council is gonna have to approve what the planning commission sent them.
Yeah. The city council will, and the planning commission will ultimately decide how that all works out. This is Ethan's concept that he's putting forward, and he's just asking the city to say certain uses are no longer prohibited, logical uses that would be no longer prohibited. That's what he's asking for. He's not asking for anything else at this point in time. And we're just looking for the city to say, yes, no, maybe. Yeah. This is going to evolve. Yes, sir.
I just find it strange, the wording of, we're just asking for permission and stuff, but this is not the plan that we have been, this is not a Sunrise, it doesn't look to me like a Sunrise Mall evolution. It seems like it's the same thing that we got right now.
No, what you got now is a pretty dead mall with no retail activity.
So all we need to do is just bring some retail in there, right?
Well, that's what he's proposing, is to reactivate a regional shopping mall that was built on retail and bring retail back.
But only if we approve this. Because last night he said,
No.
when I asked him what happens if they say no at the community, because the community is going to come in on this. And if the community says we don't want it, I would hope the planning commission and the council says we don't want it. And Ethan implied that, well, you're just going to have a dead mall. So, I mean, it's almost like a threat. Take this or else.
I don't think it's a threat. I think it's a reality. That if you've got one person that wants to do something different and the city says no, that person's probably going to go away and the status quo is going to stay.
Rather than negotiating and giving us what we want, if he can't have what he wants.
Wait a minute, that wasn't, you didn't bring that in until later.
No, I talked to him and you were there.
Yeah.
And that was the impression I got from him. He would take his ball and go home. And I think if that's all we are to him, then what do you really think we're going to get out of the rest of that mall? So, I mean, maybe once he goes to the council, he'll have changed his mind. Once he hears everything from the community. Maybe he'll change his mind and he will offer something that we can all be okay with, you know?
Yeah.
And he will make money too.
I would be very surprised if he takes his ball.
So I've got one last question. So does Ethan Conrad already lease to Bolero somewhere else? Does he have a bowling alley that he leases?
He has one coming into Crestview Shopping Center, doesn't he?
But Crestview is already there.
Anymore.
Excuse me?
Crestview is gone.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist. It's
No.
it's bulldozed.
He had,
Bolero.
because I worked on it.
Bolero is on Madison.
No, he had a really cool high-end bowling entity that was going to go into Crestview, and
Didn't go.
I got him the use permit, but I don't know if it happened.
It's a vacant lot now.
Well, they're going to build it.
grass.
They
It's
had to
been
build it.
vacant for years.
Yeah. I don't know, but I know that he was trying to make one of those happen.
So there is
On
a
a different
Bolero
property.
on Madison Avenue, and I don't know.
Did that used to be Crestview Lanes?
Crestview is on Fair Oaks.
Yeah, it's in
Fair Oaks and Madison.
Manzanita.
Manzanita and
Wyoming.
Fair Oaks, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But I wouldn't say the Bolero on Madison's anything to write home about.
I don't know, I haven't
That's
been
I
there.
wouldn't either.
I'm not a bowler.
I am, where I was.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
If I understand your role correctly, you come here and talk to us, but then you also take our feedback back to,
Yeah, Mona and I both take
okay,
what we
so
hear back to Ethan,
So I'm-
absolutely.
wanting to hear from you what you've heard from us tonight that you're going to take back to them.
I heard that this is worrisome, all those drive-thrus are there are worrisome, that you'd like some community space where families could gather. You'd like to have
Pickleball.
on top of
just
Macy's. And
More family-oriented stuff.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
More family oriented.
More family oriented, yes. And to be honest, we've heard this from the other neighborhood groups. Come on, there's gotta be one more question.
I mean, because if you take up all that space, then there's no place for like the circus to come back, or for the Christmas program that we put on out at the parking lot at Christmas time for the families and the kids and stuff like that. So,
Is that because the mall's vacant?
no.
Did that happen before, when the mall was going gangbusters?
Yeah, it still goes on, but
Yeah,
if you
I don't see
take-
that
if
why
you-
it wouldn't.
But where? I mean, you need an area for family.
I see lots of places where you could put something like that right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You need, there's more stores that people might want in there. You, has anybody done a market survey to see what the community wants, what stores to come in? Or-
No, we were kind of hoping that this whole process would kind of result in some of that, to be honest.
I think it has.
Pickleball and gathering places.
We told you what we don't want, for sure. We told you what we don't want, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's true, but, to be honest, I'd like to have, we would like to have some of the other hand in that.
Nordstrom,
It's
all
like,
these
what would
places-
you like to have?
All the places he was suggesting last night would be great. What Ruth was talking about would be great. What this lady is talking about would be great. But not after the fact. Like you're saying, we can't even have any green space in this first project, So we're not getting green space, we're not getting community space, we're not getting anything really that we can utilize for our community. So that's all I'm saying. And I think yesterday he said that bottom portion wasn't being used, bottom right or something. Something could go right there on the corner, of course, where the traffic is. But that's all I'm saying. Why it's like you give me this, you give me a hamburger today and I'll pay you tomorrow kind of thing. So we get nothing out of this first development other than some tax revenue. You're not going to get a lot of jobs out of a storage space. You're not going to get a lot of jobs out of Judy's Cleaners. You're not going to get any jobs out of the Montessori school. And then you're going to get a bunch of fast food jobs out of, all the fast food stuff. So we're really not getting anything, like what.
My opinion, with this, you're getting a catalyst against a dead mall.
Okay, well, give us some space. Give us something else that we want that benefits us so that we can say, okay, we're okay with this, That's what I'm saying.
I think,
to.
Gigi, what, are you saying that if we go along with the Home Depot spot, then how are we going to get the assurance that the rest of this mall is going to be developed into services, stores, activities?
That question I asked last night.
How can we make that assurance from what Mr. Conrad has already proposed?
He said we couldn't last night.
Remember what I said, the decisions are by the
city council and the planning, I realize that.
Right. So he couldn't, no other developer could do anything here without the city.
But he hadn't presented anything different.
And I know that, because we know what we went through with the 5 owners of this whole mall, that we couldn't get them together.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
But I want some assurance or something, and I think Gigi is trying to get this, is what she's concern is. If we go along with Home Depot, which I don't have a problem with Home Depot, if Lowe's is across the street, they're together out at Roseville too, so, and they say that it's not a problem. But how do we know that he's going to follow through with phase 2?
We don't.
Well, he would own it, and he'd be paying taxes on it, and he'd be making payments to maintain it. So, as a property owner, he's not going to want to let it sit. He's going to want to make it active.
And he probably would not want us on his doorstep all the time, with it being phase 2 not being followed through with.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
I can understand her comment, because I've had people, I've told them about this meeting, and I said, what's the point? You know, we've already done
Yeah.
input, nothing ever happens.
Yeah,
So
that's what I've heard.
they didn't even want to come to the meeting anymore.
Yeah.
Because their input's not being listened to. And I understand you need to have a profit, Ethan does, in order to have this property. I don't see you saying, okay, it's all for the residents and let them have a place to, you know, to walk and play, you know. 'Cause that's
But he's not
that
able
doesn't
to
generate a
say
lot of
that
revenue.
because it's up to the city council to listen to us.
Well, I know that.
They represent us.
But I'm talking to city council, and nothing's been done, and people are getting frustrated. You know, some of them didn't even want to come to the meeting.
Well, it's-
What's the point?
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If we say yes and Home Depot turns into the Home Depot you see over there by Taste of Tuscany, and you got Benny Hill where the fentanyl's happening,
No.
and the day workers and all these things happening right there,
Yeah.
you're gonna blame the city. You're gonna say, well, y'all approved this. And
Yeah.
if they say no, and then everything goes to hell, y'all gonna say, well, y'all caused this. So
Yeah.
they can't win no way, okay? So basically, we have to say, if we're gonna do this, we have to suffer with whatever happens with it and trust that he's gonna do the right thing. And I wouldn't trust him. I can't, if he walked out the door, I wouldn't trust him. So, and I met him last night, and I've been texting him. We've been talking off and on about this. I've been talking to Brian as well. And he smooths very well, but he dodged a lot of questions. He would not commit. And that's my problem with the whole thing. So I'm just saying to the community, we're not going to get what we want, okay? And we can blame the city council all we want, but if they say yes, we're going to get something we don't want. And you can see it right there. If they say no, we're going to get a dead mall. We already met about that.
So you're
I have a
saying
home
he's
here.
gonna
Yeah, I think
buy
the thing, I
phase-
think
do
I
phase one,
haven't
but
made it
not
clear.
do- He's gonna not exercise his option for
Well, he
phase-
might
for the second phase?
exercise the option, but guess what he may not do? Listen to us once again. So we may get the same that we're getting here, a forced decision.
Yeah, Gigi, I think I haven't been clear. The city is going to make, if they make a yes decision, okay, if, that will be one of many
Oh, yeah.
yes and no questions that the council will have to make. So a yes doesn't mean anything other than Ethan Conrad, move forward, bring something,
Yeah.
okay? Bring more detail.
And a no to the fast food and the Home Depot is a problem.
That's a
See what I'm
problem for him,
saying?
yeah, that's a problem, yeah.
Okay.
And that's a problem for the community.
Oh, yeah. That's the community, you gotta understand.
Just gonna continue to decline.
Well, I like the idea of the bowling alley because we used to have one a long time ago.
Still do, Fireside Lane.
Yes, and I know
That was just
Still do,
renovated.
Yeah.
and it's pretty good. They've
It-
redone quite a bit of
it
it.
is.
Yeah, Bowling's coming back.
It is, building's
Yeah.
coming down.
I don't know why.
For your education, the Florida Town Center was purchased in '22.
Say that again?
The Florida Town Center, Ethan purchased that in 2022.
Okay, so 2 years ago. Okay.
Aaron, did you have another question back there?
Yeah, I was wondering, are there any other options that Ethan
Is considering?
come up with? Any other proposals?
Tell the truth.
Because like, what if for phase one, you know, what if you did something like that? Like for phase one, you just focus on bringing in Home Depot to get some money, and so some of the other places, and then for the rest of the property, make that the sunrise tomorrow plan. You just
Yeah,
put it in
I hear
there.
where you're
Maybe
going.
Maybe drop some things, because maybe, I know at the Chasen meeting, he brought up something about the office spaces, I think.
No, it's almost 1 million square feet of office
Okay,
proposed. in
okay,
there.
well then
Change
get
it.
rid of that.
I mean,
Take that out,
Yeah,
so you got Home Depot and storage, I don't know why.
everybody's got focused on, that's kind of funny. It's like in the
Yeah.
basement of a
Okay.
building.
Yeah,
well, because he didn't offer it up.
I don't know
Yeah.
about moving stuff in
sense.
and out of there, I don't know about
Yeah.
that, but the thing is, I mean, I suppose they kind of did something like that at the Hostess, the old Hostess building in Sacramento. But what if you did that? You have phase one, it's Home Depot, it kind of looks the same, but then phase two is the rest of the mall property. you actually build out the Sunrise Tomorrow.
Yeah. If some,
Without the
if some-
things that, like, for example, the office space, that's probably not necessary.
yeah.
But there's no money coming in.
I think the problem is that there's a message that's been sent that nobody's been interested in doing any portion of the Sacramento Tomorrow, or the Sunrise Tomorrow plan. And so I don't know if you could carve off a piece of it and have the balance of it actually happen someday. You know, if no piece of it works financially and nobody's interested in doing it,
Yeah.
Brian, you keep
why
saying
keep
that. That's-
part of
Okay,
it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I guess I just kind of wonder, because like I've witnessed, and everybody here has been here longer than me, but like I remember back in the days when I was a
Just run the
teenager,
cows out there.
Years
That's what was
ago.
out there when I came here.
riding to the Sunrise Mall, and it was vibrant and everything.
Yeah.
It was all
And
vacant.
from the last 20 years, it has been declined.
See?
Seeing store after store
Yeah.
close down. And the thing that it just kind of
When I came.
boggles my mind is like, well, how is a Home Depot gonna just jumpstart that? Because we've had a lot of new businesses, like Birdcage. I never expected Birdcage to become what it is today. And that's not a mall, that's a bunch of, in fact, that's a place where, yeah, you can walk around, you can park at one place and walk around to the other. The way that this looks, I mean,
I'm retired.
it's,
Thank God.
I don't see why, I don't see the point. Why not just go to Roseville or the other side of Citrus Heights for, you know, like,
Yeah. I think Ethan's plan is to put enough retail here that the shoppers of Citrus Heights will come back to the mall. And people will come from Roseville and Fair Oaks and Carmichael.
what was keeping them from
You know?
coming in the first place? That's the thing I not understand.
Okay, so when did the mall start, in 1968, 69?
72, I think.
Was it 72? Okay, I remember when there were cows there, okay?
Yep, I remember the cows.
Look, retail has changed. People shop online. That's been a huge, COVID didn't help. COVID, kind of finished off a lot of retailers. People don't, the big indoor regional mall, the teenager mall kids, they don't have mall kids anymore. They're online. They're not going to the mall. And so retail has changed, and I think combination of things killed off Sunrise Mall. It wasn't one thing.
I think a lot of people, and myself included, were thinking that it was going to look similar to the fountains. As Ruth brought up, all the families were out there, there's a lot of retail in there, there's a lot of restaurants in there, there's a few high-end restaurants in there. And I think that's what people wanted to begin with, even though this is a bigger piece of property.
Yeah.
But Ethan said that our demographic, the market research doesn't support that because of the poor, basically. And that we would not go there. But I'm saying a lot of us go to the gallery, a lot of us go to people are going all the way there because they can't come here. If you put something for people to come here, they will. Because that mall's always packed. I go to the mall, okay? And our mall is always packed.
Right.
So no, people are still going to malls. Portia's kid goes to the mall. The kids from Sylvan, they hang out in the mall. They just got back from the trip to Italy. They went to the mall today.
Okay.
It's hard to ignore Birdcage right across the street.
They
It's doing
just
quite
went
well.
to
Say what?
Circus. My
Birdcage
grandson
right
went
across
to
the street from
Sunrise
Sunrise
to
Mall is
the
doing quite
college.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, mine
Hard to
did too.
ignore that.
From Sylvan.
Chico. Yeah, mine did.
More
Yeah.
than
Is
just
that
a
locally
shop.
owned?
Jake
There's
is
more
mine.
than one owner.
Oh,
But is it
Manuel
local?
is
It's
mine.
not
Yes,
Manhattan.
they're local.
It's not Manhattan. It's not Chicago. That's probably a very big reason. Because, you got somebody you can call. You get somebody to go look at it that's local and said, oh, hell, there's, graffiti there, there's a homeless camp, I'm not gonna let that
I'm gonna
happen.
call the police for that.
Hmm?
I'm calling the police for the homeless camp.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm not
that's
calling
been
them.
successful the last 5 years, hasn't it?
Oh, well, don't worry, they got new laws, it'll be fine. And Coop ain't playing, so we good.
Well, do you have a handout or anything where we would put our ideas onto Ethan's
Sunrise
website?
Tomorrow Evolution website, just
Okay.
put those 3 words
Oh.
in, and there's places for suggested
Can you do it twice
retailers,
though, so the city has
suggested
access?
design,
Yeah.
whatever you think it would be a good idea, and we'll share that.
If the
with the
city is sharing
The city
that.
has a website
The
that's
city
taking
is
ideas
sharing
too.
it. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I know what the city's gonna do, and they're putting it on their website. They're putting the
That's right,
comments
I
on the
did see it
website.
on
So if you could
there.
just please do it through the
Yeah.
city, and then Ethan can look at the city's comments.
Okay. Well, then, we thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You guys are great. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
And thank you for inviting comments and getting involved. It's our place, it's our money, and it's our houses. So thank you for being involved. That's the important thing as being a community. Second reminder, if you want to come to our community dinner, which is free food, if you're signed up, but you have to do that QR code and sign up, or else you will not have any food.
Can I, Ruth, Ms. Fox,
Yes.
can I give a quick?
Yes.